Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a review of the Ultra Mont Blancs. I started seeing some reviews pop up on YouTube today. A lot of the reviews I've seen so far are people who've just gotten the shoe and have just started to do their first impressions of the shoe. I special ordered these shoes from a local running store, Bull City Running, in Durham, North Carolina. So I've had them for about a month, and I've done a little over, I would say, over 100 miles. I've done at least two 30-mile runs in these shoes, as well as a trail marathon that I just did over the weekend. So I've got pretty good experience with these shoes. Also, to let you know, I'm not an ultra newbie. I've got the Superiors. I've got the Lone Peak. These are the Lone Peak 5s. I have the Olympus. I think these are the Olympus. Yeah, the Olympus 4. So I'm really familiar with the Ultra lineup. And I don't run on them exclusively. I run some Salomon Ultra Glides, as well as let's see, Hoka Speed Goats and things like that. But as far as the Ultras go, I'm just going to compare these shoes to the other Ultras that I have. There are other reviews out there, people that have much more technical information as far as like what they're made out of, what's the outsole made out of, what's the lug depth and things like that. I'm just going to go ahead and compare these to the other Ultra shoes that I have, and how they're different and in some ways better, and then in some couple ways worse. Overall, I think they're a great shoe. And probably the title of this video will be Fidgety but Worth It. So what that means is, with all these other Ultra shoes that I have, I'm a guy that I put them on once, I lace them up once, I tie a knot in them, and I don't touch them from then on. That's the way I do almost all of my shoes. I get them, I kind of dial in the way I like the lacing, I double knot them, and then I don't touch them. I kind of slip them on and off, which I guess kind of indicates that I wear them a little bit looser maybe than some other people do. But that's the way I'm used to using shoes. I've dealt with untying and tying shoes, and then they come loose. So I just like to get a fit that I like, tie a double knot, and then don't touch them forever. So what I mean by with these being fidgety but worth it is, I have to really dial in every time I put them on. I have to either tighten them through the midsole or dial in the lockdown. But once I do that, they're pretty good for the run that I'm on. But I'm not used to that. I'm used to just putting them on once, figuring it out, and then going from there. But so that's one big difference, is just trying to figure it out. And part of that is because most Ultras are like, I think they have three different like width sizes that and I don't remember all three of them, but one I think is the original, which is probably most of their shoes are a certain width. And then if you can see in here, like the toe box, obviously Ultras have like this kind of squared off toe box. But if you notice, this is, I think, the original. It's much more square here than the New Mont Blancs are the standard. And so they're much more narrow. So this comes down here much more quickly. It's not as wide. So that gives you a little bit less room in the toe box, but it's still good space. The only thing that for me has been not an issue, but a difference that I definitely notice is in the midfoot. When I put these on, I don't feel anything over here and over here on my foot. But when I do the Mont Blancs, I definitely feel like it's not excessively tight, but you definitely feel like this kind of puts a little bit of pressure on the outside of your foot, um, and so that's just a difference. It's something you notice when you're on a run. It's not bothersome. It didn't affect me in any way. I didn't have any problems with it, but it's definitely when you put it on, you're like, oh, that's definitely tighter. Um, the other things, positives I would say about the shoe is, um, with especially with the Olympus, the cushion, like the stack height and the cushion is good, but the shoe itself kind of almost acts like I kind of say a block of wood. You step, and then when you roll through, it almost feels like this whole thing is one solid piece. Like I said, cushion, you step down, it's fine, but when you lift your foot, it almost feels like this part is one part, and then the rest of the shoe is just one, just pops up, and feels very rigid, in that kind of way. Whereas the Mont Blancs, I feel like can roll more. Like when it feels more natural to me. It feels like when you're rolling off your foot, like you pick up your heel, that kind of picks up, and then the midfoot picks up. Whereas like the Mont Blancs, I mean the Olympus fours are like you have the toe, and there's like a hinge here, and then when you try to lift your foot up, boom, the whole thing just lifts up. So that's just one little difference. Um, Otherwise, the the upper is a much thinner. Um, I like it as far as like it feels much like a much more agile shoe. It's not as stiff or anything like that. Not as much built up as like the Olympus or even the Lone Peaks. This is like more thicker and things like that, and they're not that much thicker, but because of all the overlays and things like that, whereas as the Mont Blancs, there's no, maybe there's a little bit of overlay, but there's nothing significant. But um, I really like the shoe. Like I said, it just takes more dialing, and it definitely feels lighter, and you feel lighter on your feet with these. They almost feel like the superiors, which are like they're not minimal shoes, but in Altra's lineup, they're pretty minimal. There's a thin stack height here, so the feel of this shoe, which has a much thicker stack height, feels like this. Like you just feel like you're more responsive and you're lighter on your feet. So that's my quick review. The I don't really, other than dialing it in every time you put it on, I don't have any negatives of it, and that's just something you have to get used to. It's not a negative. It's just okay. I've got to figure this out. Like I've got to do this every single time, and so maybe on our ultra during an ultra race that might be more annoying. Like if you're going from something else and you want to switch into this, um, you can't just slide it on. You put it on and then you have to either tighten the midfoot or tighten the heel, and then really cinch it down. Not cinch it down in a sense of like wrench, like you're cutting off your circulation, but just cinch it down from like, okay, I've got to tighten the bottom of the laces, I have to tighten the top of the laces to get it to the right fit. So anyway, so that's my quick review of the Altra Mont Blancs. I think great shoe. They're on the pricey side, but like I said, I'm not really going to go into that kind of stuff because there are tons of other reviews that go over all the pricing and all the specs about weight and what it's made out of and things like that. But for what it is, I think if you can deal with the adjustments when you first put it on, it's a great shoe, and the traction's good, the comfort's good, and I think you'll have a good experience with it. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the future. All right, thanks so much. Bye.